All right, let's jump right in. Look, if you're anywhere in southern Ontario, you know the 905 industrial belt, right? That constant hum of trucks and factories. Well, we're going to look at a system that's built to work right in the middle of all that. And it's designed to do something pretty cool. Take one of the region's biggest problems, wood waste, and turn it into a super valuable high-tech asset for the new bioeconomy.
So here's the plan. First, we'll tackle the central issue, what I'm calling the wood waste paradox. Then, we'll get into the new rules that are really squeezing the industry. After that, we'll check out the big idea, the digital refinery concept, and the AI that's supposed to make it all work. We'll even talk about the risks, the big gamble here. And finally, we'll get to the good stuff, the payoff, how it all comes together in terms of dollars and data. Okay, so this whole system, everything we're about to talk about, it really boils down to one simple-sounding question. But trust me, the answer is anything but simple, especially when it comes to the law. And that question is, when is wood not just wood?
Yeah, let's just put it right out there. At what point does a piece of wood, say a simple 2x4, stop being, just wood and become something totally different in the eyes of the law?
Well, the law is actually super clear about this. It draws a hard line in the sand. On one side, you've got clean wood, which is a resource, something valuable. But on the other side, you've got what's called subject waste. Think about your old deck, the pressure-treated stuff. It looks like wood, feels like wood, but it's been pumped full of chemicals. Things like chromated copper arsenate. And that infusion, well, it flips it from being a resource into a potential environmental hazard.
So how do they tell the difference? It all comes down to a test called the TCLP. Now, this is a lab test, and it's designed to answer one crucial question. If we put this wood in a landfill, what kind of nasty stuff is going to leach out into the groundwater over time? And believe me, the answer to that question, it changes absolutely everything.
And get this, the line is razor thin. We're talking about a legal limit of 2.5 milligrams per liter for arsenic. So if a test shows your wood leaches just a tiny bit less than that, it's fine, it's just wood. But if it leaches just a fraction more, Rome, you're now legally responsible for hazardous waste. A difference you couldn't even see has massive, massive financial and legal implications. Okay, so why is this all coming to a head right now? Well, it's because a whole bunch of new rules and deadlines are all hitting at once, and it's putting some serious pressure on the entire construction industry to finally figure this out. Because, let's be real, the old way of just tossing everything into one bin, that's about to get incredibly expensive.
Just look at this timeline. Coming up really soon, all hazardous waste tracking is going digital. So goodbye paper trails. Then a brand new tax on landfill waste, the CIRCIL levy, is starting. And the real kicker? By 2029, you won't be allowed to send any clean wood to a landfill. At all. So all of a sudden, knowing exactly what's in your wood bin isn't just a nice to have, it's literally essential to keep your business running.
And this is exactly where a system like 95 Wood steps in. It's designed specifically to deal with all this new pressure. The whole philosophy behind it is that you can't solve a data and compliance problem with just bigger bins. You need a smarter bin.
So the big idea here is to completely change the mindset. Stop thinking like you're just hauling trash and start thinking like an oil refinery. You take this messy, chaotic, low-value stuff, all that mixed wood from a job site, and you process it, you upgrade it into a really valuable, very specific product. Something like perfectly sized wood chips that a high-tech bio facility can use as feedstock.
So how does it work in the real world? It's a classic hub and spoke model. The spokes are the normal bins you see on construction sites. But here's the key. Instead of a truck hauling one of those bulky half-empty bins for, 100 kilometers, it just takes it to a nearby hub. At the hub, all that wood gets collected, processed, and packed down really tight. Then, and only then, is it loaded onto these giant 144-yard trailers, they call them motherships, for the long-haul trip. It basically solves the problem of paying a fortune to haul a bunch of empty space.
All right, so the logistics are smart, I get it. But none of that matters if you can't solve the first and most important problem. How do you tell the good wood from the bad right at the source? And this brings us right to the tech at the heart of the system, and a pretty tough question.
There's this quote that just nails the skepticism perfectly. The AI is designed to be a calculator when it desperately needs to be a bouncer. I mean, think about it. Old wood that's been sitting out in the sun for 20 years, treated pine and clean cedar can look almost exactly the same. So the question is, can you really trust a quick smartphone picture to make a decision that has huge legal and financial consequences? Is this AI just a number cruncher, or can it actually act like a tough bouncer, keeping the bad stuff out?
And the system's answer to that is pretty clever. It's all about something called tiered validation. See, it's not pretending a smartphone camera is a chemistry lab. The phone is just step one. It's for triage, right? A quick, cheap first pass. The AI on the phone flags anything that looks sketchy or comes from a high-risk source, like a demolition. And any load that gets flagged, it's automatically sent for mandatory heavy-duty screening back at the hub, where they have advanced sensors that can actually see the chemicals.
So, okay, the tech is smart, but it also adds extra steps, extra rules. And that brings us to the biggest hurdle of all, the customer. I mean, are we really expecting a busy contractor on a crazy, chaotic job site to embrace this level of, well, precision?
And this quote really says it all. Complexity is just precision the customer didn't ask for. You have to see it from their side. For years, ordering a bin was simple. You make a call, you get a price, the bin shows up, and your problem disappears. The last thing a contractor wants to deal with is a science experiment, or, having to do calculus just to understand their bill.
And this gets to the human side of things. Construction sites are messy, they're unpredictable, things go wrong. And the big fear is, when a project goes sideways, you don't want an automated response from a chatbot. You want a real person, a dispatcher, who knows your name and knows exactly where that truck is.
So, how do you get past all that resistance? You make the payoff so obvious, so tangible, that it's impossible to ignore. And it all boils down to two things: dollars and data. The secret weapon is what they call a decoupled invoice. The system breaks the bill down so it's super easy to understand. Look, the base rate for the truck and the bin, it's the same either way. But the tipping fees, what you pay to dump the material, way, way lower for clean wood. And here's the magic trick. That new CIRCIL landfill tax, it's shown as a separate line item that goes to zero if you sort your wood correctly. You literally see the tax you're avoiding.
And when you look at it as a bar chart, it's just undeniable. There's no complexity here. It's not abstract math. It's dead simple. Do it the old way, it costs you almost $800. Do it the new way, it costs you $500. You save nearly $300 on a single bin. The motivation to do the right thing is printed right there on the invoice in dollars and cents.
But here's the thing, it's not just about saving money today. The system also gives you something extra, a carbon dividend. It actually calculates and shows you the amount of CO2 you kept out of the atmosphere by recycling that wood. And this isn't just some fuzzy, feel-good number. It's real, auditable data that big companies need for their sustainability reports to track their emissions. It's a whole new asset.
Which really brings us back to the big question, doesn't it? This whole system really pushes us to rethink what waste even is. Is it just a liability that we need to pay someone to bury? Or is it actually an asset? A kind of urban forest of raw materials, just waiting for a smart system like this to come along and refine it into something valuable?